And we're back with Terry, and we were talking about the days of Noah when we left, and but now I want to talk about looking forward to March on alternativemedia.ca. There are a number of stories there which may point to a false flag event. And my fear is, and it's only opinion, and but my fear is that maybe these stories and these events may lead to a false flag, and so I wanted to go over some of these. And the biggest one is the microchip implants that are supposedly coming March 23rd. So what kind of event has to take place for these implants to be accepted by the masses or the people in a certain geographical area? And will there be a false flag? Will this false flag coordinate with the satanic holidays of March or the spring equinox or Good Friday? And so this is my fears. And what did Halliburton, what was Halliburton doing in the Gulf again? The last time they were in the Gulf, we had the Gulf disaster. And how is this cruise ship from hell tied into it? And why was it out to sea for 5 days when it was laboring, when they could have sent boats or to pick these people up? I'm sure they've got a number of boats that, or ferries that could have ferried these people inland into motels and hotels, etc. And so a false flag is what I'm really worried about. And then I take a look at the picture of the meteor on my site, and I notice it's a pyramid, and I notice that in my opinion, it points to the Florida Panhandle. And I wonder, since they telegraph everything that they're going to do through movies and the card games and TV, that this might be related. So, well, we're going to start going through this list, and I'm going to get Terry to comment on the first few items. The first one is Obama high treason, closing the air defense system on the Mexican border, and I'll let Terry take over from here.
Okay, well, it's just like we covered there on the last video, you know, as far as he's just setting America up is the bottom line. And but you know, we're all pointing the finger at Obama, and mainly because he's the one that's the president of the United States. But the truth be known, both parties, Democratic and Republican, have been behind all this right from the get-go, because these ones that are in control, which the number one culprit is Satan himself, who is dictating and manipulating things around, all things in all over the world like a chessboard, and getting everything put in place and ready for the false prophet and the Antichrist to come on the scene. So one of the United States of America is actually the only nation in the world left to where its citizens are still carrying guns. And you can't very well take over a country where the biggest majority of its citizens are packing, as you want to say, you know, street language. And, you know, that's one of the things that Japan even said, you know, that the reason they didn't go from Pearl Harbor and right straight to the West Coast was because they knew, even one of their admirals said, that they couldn't win a battle in attacking the United States because there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. Well, when you start selling 8 million, 10 million, 7 million guns a month here in the United States, you know, granted, there's people that have more than one, but there's going to be a lot of people who didn't have any who now have at least one, and the bullets to go around with it. So that's why the Obama administration, Homeland Security, FEMA, Social Security Office, yeah, right, you know, used car salesmen, everybody and their brothers buying up ammunition, okay?
Okay, so Obama's visit to Israel, it kind of fascinates me, and it appears that they're going to visit. I identified the date. If they have, I haven't heard it because I don't listen to mainstream news. But I believe he goes to visit Israel on March 20th, which coincides with a lot of these other timed events. And there's some symbology in that, because he's going supposedly 6 days before Passover, and I believe Passover is on March 26th. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's also going, his symbolism is he's going to ride in on a donkey, and Netanyahu, you can tie this into what Netanyahu said during their last visit, that Israel was the little Satan and the U.S. was the great Satan. And he was probably telling the truth, and just, it was an unbelievably truthful statement. But anyway, I'll let you comment on that.
Well, first of all, let's get something out of the way first and foremost. Israel, that area over there, actually it's even a bigger area than what it is right now, and you can find out how big that area is by looking at old maps, and because Yahuwah told Abraham to walk it off, and Abraham walked it off when he left the land of Ur and was following Yahuwah's guidance. He walked off what the entire area, the land mass would be, that would be considered the promised land later on in the scripture. So, which they went from being supposed to be having this down to having this, okay? So, and the other thing I want to say is this. The people that are living in Israel now granted, there may be some true Israelites, okay? But the scripture is talking about those who are born again. They will be the ones, the true Israelites that will be living there at the time. Right now, my gosh, you have not only adultery and things like that, and gays, marriages, and all kinds of porn, and all kinds of pornography, and all kinds of stuff going on over in Israel right now. They got a red light district over there to make the red light districts here in the United States look pale in color. But Israel is not the place to be, just because of the sin. I mean, you could take New Orleans and put it in Israel, and some of the people from New Orleans would be blushing over in Israel. I mean, that's just how bad it is. So, you got to keep that in mind too. Now, Obama coming in on a donkey, and stuff. Hey, he's part of the Democratic Party. What is their mascot? It's a donkey or an ass or whatever you want to call it. Either way, you can take prophecy and twist and turn it and however you want to. But bottom line is this: according to Scripture, rather, I don't know if the United States is going to be, how it's going to be taken out of the equation. I'm not going to stand here and say, well, God told me this and God told me that, like some ministers will. But I will tell you this. According to Scripture, the United States is going to be taken out of the picture, because when Israel is surrounded, there isn't going to be anybody come to help her. And when that happens, it says that's when she will actually call out to the one and only true Elohim. So where's this so-called, big Satan, little Satan? That may be, but where's the allies, in there? It's not going to happen. Now, whether the United States taken out of the picture or the United States just turns a blind eye to what's going on over there, I don't know. But one thing is sure. The United States of America or NATO, neither one comes to Israel's defense when it is totally surrounded and attacked. So, if you want to look at prophecy, you look at that end of it, it's an eye-opening experience, to say the least, as far as what we're headed to and what Israel's headed to. And God, the Yahuwah, has got to destroy the evil and sinful nature of that culture in Israel right now. And I mean, the Pope, Israel, the Vatican bought up a bunch of land and are talking about going in there and rebuilding the temple and all that stuff. Gee whiz, with the pedophiles and everyone in the Catholic Church, they'll be right at home over there in Israel.
Okay, now, I just saw a premiere of the movie Olympus, and I think it was called Olympus, and it was about the destruction of the United States. So because it's released on 3/22, the new release, I don't think that the war is going to come to the United States on that date, because they want to generate some fear before they, actually fulfill their fear agenda. So I think, they'll save that one for the spring solstice. But what's your feeling on the timing? What's your feeling on the timing of the satanic sacrifices and the relationship to March 22nd and Obama's visit?
Well, you got a couple of things going on here, and one is the fact that the Jews or the Hebrews, whatever you want to call them, that are over there in Israel now, the calendar that they're going by, their new year begins in the fall. Okay, that's during the Feast of Trumpets. That's the beginning of their year. When in actuality, that's the 7th month in the actual calendar that Yahuwah gave Moses on Mount Sinai. So this spring thing is like the halfway point in their new year, but it's not the halfway point in Yahuwah's year, okay? That's one of the things everybody got to keep in mind. They look at the Gregorian calendar. Well, according to this calendar here, such and such and such is going to happen, and then they'll say, well, according to the Jewish calendar, and that's the one they're using now, such and such is going to happen. Well, you got to keep in mind, everything is going to happen according to Yahuwah's calendar, the one that he gave Moses on Mount Sinai. And that is in your spring, at the end of your spring, winter equinox is when you have your Passover, okay? And you go in from there, which this year it falls in April because of the way the dates and things are falling. I'd have to look real quick, but I'm thinking it's April 25th or something like that.
Well, I don't know when that is, but I think the Satanists are using the Gregorian calendar to celebrate their holidays.
Yeah.
And
it's the 24th and 25th.
And their holidays require a human sacrifice, especially the Good Friday holiday, which is very interesting that they celebrate Good Friday as the day that Jesus Christ died, right, or was crucified and then buried in the tomb. Obviously that never happened then, but it happened the day before Passover, I believe. And so which calendar do you think the Satanists are going to use to pull off the false flag that will enable them to so that everybody lines up for the mark of the beast and can get food and health care and various things like that? Because if everything goes kablooey, there will be no identification on many people, right? They'll just, everything will just disappear. No bank records, no this, no that. And so I think that will set up the American people for the mark.